Thursday, August 2nd, and you're listening to the Next Level Podcast, episode 77. I'm Emin Bassavand. If he was a video game genre, John Danho would be a CRPG.
Arrgh.
A classic RPG. And if he was a video game genre, Areg would probably be a dating sim.
Okay, sure.
Sure.
I'm down with
Are you
that.
okay with that?
Yeah, why not? Was it what was it? Leisure Suit Larry or something?
No,
Do
I'm
you
thinking
remember that
about
game?
like Daddy Dating Simulator
like
that just
Daddy
came out.
Okay.
And then we also have Josh in the booth.
Yo,
and
yo.
if he was a video game genre, what do you guys say? I say like probably like a Telltale game. Like a
Telltale game,
huh?
Yeah, I guess, man. He's a cinematic
yeah,
guy.
cinematic guy. Like
Yeah.
cinematic movies.
Or like Uncharted or something.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
like
to
an Uncharted style.
He likes Battlefield, right? So
Yeah, Battlefield.
a little
and-
bit of a shooter aspects to it.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
interested in Battlefront, the
Okay.
new one. That looks all right.
Something
So
with battle.
we'll give him the genre of shooter. We
Yeah.
won't say third or first, but shooter.
He likes battle though. What about like multiplayer
What about Battle
online
Rights?
battle arena?
wow, wow,
Oh, wow.
Deep
Oh,
sex.
man.
Deepest,
Deep sex.
dude, the deepest, dude, deep.
Yeah. So today's main purpose, I guess, is to get to the bottom of burning questions, which is what the hell is a MOBA? What
Yeah.
makes a genre a genre?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, because we had a little bit of a scuffle essentially where we
Yeah,
were
it's
like,
just like an email fucking fist fight.
yeah, we were like debating because we're like, wait, is this a MOBA? Is that a MOBA? No, I think this is not a MOBA. I'm like, no, I think that's a MOBA. And then we started basically thinking about, well, okay, what defines a MOBA? What are the core mechanics
Yeah.
that make up the genre for a game, you know?
Dude, it's actually pretty appropriate that we're talking about that now because TI or the International 7 just
Yeah,
started.
totally.
The group stage just started for Dota 2, so it's kind of just appropriate, fitting
it's relevant.
coincidence.
How's
Yeah.
that going?
I think it's going fine. The production value is fucking sky high on that shit, dude. They have
Just
like
gets
split
better and better
screen.
every year, man.
They have split screen where they do it like vertical split screen, so you can see three things at once.
Mm.
They show you active replays. They show you like so much of what's going on. It's very difficult to be confused.
Big money.
Big money, man.
Big money going around right
20
now.
million right now.
My God.
I think it's still gonna go up, right?
So
I think the thing is still open.
Yeah, I guess
window
because it is
to-
group stage. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's what makes a MOBA, dude. Money. Or do MOBAs make money?
That's
How does
funny.
that-
MOBAs do make money.
Yeah, they
They do,
Yeah.
man.
especially nowadays, dude. But like, it's an interesting thing. So we kind of posed this initially, this question of what mechanics make a MOBA or what mechanics make that genre, what have you. Is it mechanics that make a genre?
So
That's my question. That's like
I was actually thinking about
preliminarily,
this.
you know.
I'm gonna say no. I think mechanics are what make a game unique. Concepts are what define a genre.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Right? Does that
yeah,
make sense?
It makes sense. You might need to elaborate a bit as we go forward, but I
Yeah.
can
Yeah, yeah,
accept
yeah.
that as a premise for now.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
So I
And
was
then-
actually thinking like in the fashion of if we were to look at a game, we could take bits of it out and name them as flourishes. Like these are just flourishes and they're not what make up the game.
Yeah.
For example, when I'm thinking of like Dota and traditional type of MOBAs, I'm thinking like minions, towers, lanes, pushing.
Totally.
So I'm thinking things like that. Are they just flourishes and you could just have them out and it's the MOBA still stays a MOBA? Or are those somehow a part of what make a MOBA, you know?
I think there's like a bigger question that I think the term MOBA is a little bit problematic. just
Yeah,
because
Okay.
It's such
I'll
a
agree.
wide term. It's
True.
like multiplayer online battle arena. Okay, well, so is Call of Duty. So is StarCraft. So is like a whole bunch of other stuff. Like you're multiplayer and you're battling against each other.
Online,
Essentially.
Yeah. So like whenever we're talking about MOBAs, like I just sort of want to set like a ground floor just so like everyone, like us and the listeners are all
Yeah.
on the same page. Like how I see it, there's like traditional MOBAs, which is stuff like Dota and League and Han, stuff like that. And then
Okay.
we have like the more I want to call it like the new wave of MOBAs. that,
Neo
like,
MOBA.
Sure.
Let's
okay,
just for the
right
sake
on.
of the conversation, we'll say MOBA, Neo MOBA.
Yeah.
We'll just say
And
like that
a
for
whole
now.
bunch of the newer stuff that have been coming out, like I would put Heroes of the Storm in that category because it plays with the formula enough to make it different.
What about Smite?
I would say Smite will, personally, I think it fits a little bit more in the traditional sense
Sure.
because like you buy items, you
You guys played it
Yeah.
more, so you know. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so like buying items, for example, right? Do you think buying items is something
So,
that
like-
factors into?
I wouldn't say buying items is something that defines a MOBA.
Okay.
I would say, okay, so
It's tough, dude. Yeah, no, it really
I actually
is.
wrote down some of what I think would be the core mechanics of a MOBA.
I'm
So
down
let me
to
just
hear
go
that.
down
Yeah.
this list, and then
Super.
we can like add to it, remove from it,
Sure.
do whatever. First of all, it needs to be a team game. You have to be playing
Okay.
with other people.
I
don't
agree,
think there's
100%.
maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe we're overlooking something, but I don't think there's like a single player
Bro,
you're right.
if there was a single player MOBA,
I mean, it says
wouldn't
multiplayer
be,
online.
It wouldn't
Totally.
really be
Yeah,
called.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiplayer.
I mean,
It's in the name.
it could still be multiplayer, and you're like one-on-ones, but nah, you still get one-on-ones even when it's a team game, right? Occasionally, you end up having one-on-ones here and there throughout
Yeah.
the map, so it's
No,
not
I
like
thi-
it
I
doesn't
think
need to
you
be
need a
exclusively
team.
one. Yeah,
I think you need a
yeah.
team.
Whether it's 5 players or 6-player teams doesn't really
less,
matter.
3v3,
Yeah, it could
whatever.
be 3 perhaps, but you still need a team. I agree with that.
Okay. So
That's
team
it.
game, and then I'm gonna say a diverse cast of characters to choose from.
That's a good
because-
point. Yeah.
Because like, let's go games like Call of Duty or like the more shootery sort of stuff that you don't necessarily have like different types of roles to fit into.
That's
True.
That's actually a little
I think
bit
that's a necessity.
okay, but then let me throw just
Like
a wrench in that.
characters that like either complement each other. It's like to better complement team play.
Composition. Having
like,
the
composition
team
plays a part.
Yeah, but then
absolutely.
building composition with your team.
I agree.
It's
Okay.
not just 6 people,
Yeah.
but how are you going to build the team up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let me throw a wrench into that just to
Go for
see
it.
if,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it
yeah.
works out. Team Fortress, Overwatch, and the less obvious but still applicable, Battlefield. Because that has player classes that you absolutely play and build a composition. I mean, you might address
yeah.
that, but just to
No,
get a
I'm saying
bigger
like let's
sense.
go down the list because like it's not just that one category. It's like a whole bunch of stuff that I think add together
Oh, okay.
that
fair.
define
Combined.
what a MOBA is. Yeah.
Right. It's not any one thing.
Okay.
And then the next thing I think that you need to have opposite objectives, meaning one team has an objective and the other team has an opposite objective. Like 2 objectives cannot happen. Like both teams can't accomplish their objective. Only one team can. So it's like whether it's destroy a thing
That's a
or
truly
capture a
specific.
thing.
That's really
That's specific, but that ad makes a lot of sense.
I wonder if
Yeah.
it holds up across like all of them. I'd have to kind of run through every game
Yeah.
in my head and like think about it now.
Yeah. So like let's go down this and then like we can bring
Sure.
up games. It's like, you know what? Like this game's a mobile, but it doesn't fit in this category. This
Right.
doesn't fit in that, and so on and so forth.
Those are 3
Um,
good ones though so far, dude.
And then I would say start from scratch every game. So like you start from like level 1, no
Right.
items, no,
No
skills, no nothing.
residual like
Yeah,
benefits.
like very little stuff, very little or if nothing that carries over between game and game. Because like I know like League of Legends, they
I
have
was
like
gonna
the
say, yeah.
entire the
Mastery
like the orb
tree.
system or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
they have
that
like
you,
the mastery talents
yeah.
tree that you can switch out, and like you can select multiple ones depending on which character you're playing.
Exactly.
It's sort of like having your talent tree pre-built before you start the game,
Yeah.
and just choosing which talent tree you want to go for this match. you
Yeah,
know?
but then again, like you can't just have all that straight up. Like you need to progress in the game in order to
Yep.
unlock all that.
Yeah, there's a progression element to it. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
And then I would say like you get stronger as the game progresses. So it's not. To be honest, like I might be a little iffy on that. Maybe that needs a little bit like wording to change. But
I know what you're getting
Like the whole
at.
point is like at the beginning you're a lot weaker than at the later in the game.
And
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, fair.
Whether it's gaining levels or buying items and equipment, or
Or-
your abilities are getting like little affixes on them and talents and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
And then the last one that I have is you lose all of your progression at the end of the match, and that kind of like feeds into like start from scratch every
Yeah.
game.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
All right, those are some pretty good core characteristics.
Yeah,
Is
So-
that it? That's the list?
that's what I came up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff to work with, man. So I'm thinking Overwatch. You even mentioned Overwatch, John.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't get stronger as the game progresses.
Yeah, you don't get
You
a
don't
couple
get
of things
stronger.
happen and some stuff doesn't happen from the list in
Yeah.
Overwatch, right?
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay,
like you don't
that's
get
fair.
stronger as the match progresses. It's all like skill based.
It's
right?
like, oh, okay, so like get stronger as the game progresses, like meaning you either get items,
Yeah.
you get skills, you know, like you progress as a
Right.
character. So like at the beginning of a game in Overwatch, you are the same
As the
power
last.
level as you are when the game ends. So like I think that kind of disqualifies Overwatch as a MOBA, even though it has a lot of characteristics and similar with the MOBA. Like
Okay.
it's heavily influenced by a MOBA.
Right.
It is like just how the characters are
Right.
even designed. They're kind of like picked up from MOBAs here and there.
Right.
So would charging your ulti and things like that not qualify for this? Because technically you are not the same as you are at the beginning and at the end or later parts. In fact, it fluctuates more in Overwatch because you're charging abilities, you have different cooldowns, so it's a little different, obviously. But does it disqualify it? That's my
You
question.
still have a composition.
You
There's
still have a
still an
composition.
array of choices for characters to pick, and it's gonna keep increasing. So, like, is the only thing that Overwatch is missing from that list just the same type of growth in the character throughout the match? If that is only thing missing, is that enough on its own to disqualify Overwatch?
I mean, that's such a That's such a difficult question to answer.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
It's all difficult though.
Yeah.
It's all difficult.
It's like
questions.
it's just because like I mean we've played Overwatch so much, like it's a fucking shooter.
It
you know?
is.
Like
It's more of a shooter.
that's what it is.
It's a shooter with MOBA elements.
Totally.
Sure,
Like,
I could say that. What's
But-
the focus more on?
yeah,
right?
I would say the focus is a lot more on the shooting
Yeah,
aspect of it,
I agree.
and a lot less on like the MOBA
I
aspect
agree.
of it. And like so,
Okay.
again, like I don't think it disqualifies it as a MOBA, but like MOBA just becomes secondary.
But those
Sure.
are like the mechanical objectives. But at the same time, I could say like one of our key points that we actually talked a ton about on the podcast many times when we were lauding Overwatch and everything back in the day is that it's more objective based than it is shooter based. So it's not really the So like we're having a discussion now about what the mechanics are doing versus the concept of the game. The concept of the game is objective based, not shooter based. And we discussed your original premise was concept based determines genre.
So I'm gonna
That is a
go.
good
right?
point.
I'm gonna go one step further, and
Please.
whenever I'm saying that opposite objectives, like they literally need to be like opposite objectives. Like you're trying to destroy something, so they're also trying to destroy something. You're trying
It
to
always
defend
has
something.
to be destruction and defense.
um,
I mean, I'm trying to push the payload. They're trying to stop the payload. Those two objectives cannot exist side by side. They're trying to capture the point. I'm trying to capture the
The
point.
same point.
The same
But, like-
point. But it's still mirrored objectives.
sure.
They're opposite in the sense that they're mirrored.
King
right?
of the Hill works, right? Because that's just one objective. Only one team can possess it at a time. So
Yeah.
that kind of fact that fits, right? Payload. We're trying to get the payload across. They're trying to stop us from getting the payload
And then the
across.
switches
and
and
it
ranked
switches.
it
They're
switches.
trying to do it right.
Right?
So it's almost like it's opposite objectives.
Mirror. Straight mirror.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's mirrored.
Yeah. It's just
Something about it is just because of the focus that they put on the FPS elements.
So like, what if we do say that you need to destroy something?
what if that's I mean
What if you need to destroy? You have, let's say, you have a building you're trying to defend, and they're trying to destroy your building. They have a building they're trying to defend that you're trying to destroy, or whatever,
like a
beast
boss or
guardian
beast or whatever.
guardian,
Yeah, fountain, whatever.
The reason why I don't want to make that like a permanent
Like,
definition of MOBA,
what would that knock out?
because I feel like we will have a game in the future that is something like Gigantic Team more, right? You could just be scoring points based off how much you're killing the other team, right? Versus how much they're killing you. It doesn't.
But then
doesn't-
that is-
Do we
does that
need to
escape-
have objectives? Because Battle Arena, it could just be PvP based.
what about battle
Right.
right?
Yeah. So
Like
that's
Battle
what I'm
Right,
gonna
that's a
say.
good
I'm
point.
gonna say Battle Right is definitely not what I would call a MOBA.
I mean, either from what
Interesting.
little I know of it. Yeah, I wouldn't call. I would call it as much of a MOBA or as little of a MOBA as that custom game in Dota 2, Overthrow.
Oh, overthrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I would call it similar.
So the wording is a little bugging me here because when you spread out MOBA, right? What do you get? Battle Arena, right? When I look at Battle Right, looks
That's
like
a battle
Battle
arena,
Arena to
and
me.
it's a multiplayer online battle. Yes,
And
so it's
Overthrow.
rough.
It looks multiplayer
Yeah, like
online
it
Battle
tot-
Arena
like-
fits, right?
Totally, man. It fits entirely. But like then again, like it's missing a few core things that I feel like just knock it out. And like before we get into Battle Right, I sort of want to go back to Overwatch and like kind of
Yeah, yeah.
finish that up
Sure.
because I definitely don't think that's a MOBA. I think we're all on the same page, but like it's kind of hard
It's
to
just-
disqualify it.
The thing is, I'm not trying to say it is, but I want to kind of get a consistent logic going. You know what I mean? That's
So,
why.
so like we're saying that like the only thing it's missing is that you don't level up your skills. Like that's a big fucking thing, though.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you know, like there's entire
is pretty
games
big.
like Heroes and Gigantic. Like that's the progression right there.
Yeah.
Like that's the core of the game. It's like leveling up your skills, and there's
or
a
just
lot of
leveling up
strategy.
your character. You whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, whatever,
Even
like,
more broadly. Yeah.
How you choose to make your character stronger.
Yep.
Okay.
Like that's a big part of the game. That's like half the strategy on how you build your character
Right.
and how you play the
Right.
game. Like it changes how you play the
Yeah.
game, and you don't really have that in Overwatch.
True. So essentially, we're like starting to prioritize the list. So certain things you read off the list might be like more essential and more important than other things. And it seems like this point is actually pretty essential, like you're bringing up.
Absolutely,
I-
sure.
In that sense, Overwatch seems to be more closer compared to like Call of Duty than actual MOBAs, right?
Yeah.
Because of it's just skill based.
Yeah.
You have ability, sure, but there's still skill shots. It's almost like you have to aim. It's essentially all FPS anyway when you're
Okay.
shooting your skills out, right? And trying to land them.
So do we want to say that like? I guess the sense of progression, do we want to give it kind of a name and call it maybe like RPG aspects? Because that's essentially what these other MOBAs have that Overwatch doesn't have, that
I mean,
Call
if we
of Duty
think about
doesn't
it, like
have.
that's sort of where it comes down from,
Yeah.
right? Like It's like RPG.
It's a
elements.
mesh.
Like
RPG elements, yeah,
Yeah.
like but
It's a
like
mesh
of
between the
thing.
two, yeah. Instead
Leveling
of-
up items, leveling up
Right.
abilities,
Right.
leveling up your character, whatever the case
Right.
might be. And then like even back in the day in Dota, you could level up your stats. They don't do that anymore, but you could actually not choose to level up an ability. You level up your
Oh,
stats,
yeah, that's right.
and that was actually a viable strategy, like that you
Right.
would have to take into account. Like with Juggernaut, I would just spin stats. I wouldn't level anything else.
True.
It's just sometimes a part of the decision making, right?
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, man, a little bit, Neverwinter Nights,
Yeah.
it's like a single player story based game, right? But
Yeah.
it's a straight up RPG.
Yeah.
Right? It's a role player game. But they have the custom games and they have the custom servers where you just join and you battle. It's like a battle arena, yet you're still using your character and you're just giving them the powers that you want.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So it's almost like things have originated in that sense where, hey, we love RPGs, but how cool would it be to take our RPG characters and put them in an arena against each other? Almost. You know, like, yeah, we still have our equipment.
That's how it originated, right?
We still have our RPG equipment. We still have our RPG abilities. We just have to use them against each other now
Dark
instead of
Souls.
like PvE. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dark Souls PvP
Yep,
arena.
absolutely.
It's like it's almost like a
sort of like that.
sort of like a MOBA. Yeah. Except you don't
well,
advance.
I mean, like
But no,
that's what
yeah,
it
but
no,
is.
that's
it's
different,
like
though.
Overwatch.
That's-
It's
yeah.
like missing certain elements, and it's usually 1v1. Well, they have the brawls now, so you have teams, but you don't have compositions.
You don't have
But you
composition, yeah.
could if you put effort into it. It's just very that's
It's
a,
fluid.
That's an
It's a
interesting
little
comparison,
fluid, yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
But I guess like it's kind of like when you think back on, let's say, Dota 1, and you're thinking back like on what they did, people remember the heroes as the names of the heroes from Warcraft. Like they remember Thrall, they remember Malfurion, Furion. They remember these kinds of things. They don't necessarily remember abilities and things like that because of that origin of let's put our favorite RPG characters
Yeah.
together and fucking let them duel it out, mash it
Yeah.
out. But let's put some objectives in the way too, so it's not just raw battle. I guess that's what it is. One can even say that the objectives were put into place to balance the game. So if you were to put Malfurion up against like Broodmother, it's not gonna fucking work. Like that doesn't. That's not what the game is all about.
Right.
But put a tower in their way
And a
that can
team.
see and the team and everything. Then and the lanes maybe. Then all of a sudden you have an interesting game and a
Strategy.
dynamic.
You have
Yeah.
elevated an element of strategy. So I
Yeah.
feel like the element of strategy varies from MOBA to MOBA, right?
Of course.
So
Yeah.
I would now say perhaps like adding onto the list, like some degree of strategy needs to be in the game. for
I
a
think
MOBA.
that kind of goes into like diverse cast of characters that you choose from that complement each other.
Yeah, like but
think
also
it
like
just
the
kinda feeds into that.
objectives, how objective based it is, the game.
Like yeah, if you're saying
I
we got to
think-
destroy or not destroy, like these are choices you have to make. Right?
Like I wouldn't necessarily call that a core concept. Like that just happens naturally.
Sure.
Like
Okay.
yeah,
Like a comparison, Heroes of the Storm is a lot more objective based than most other MOBAs,
okay,
right?
sure,
Would you agree with that?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how is the strategy level in like a game like Heroes of Storm different from like a game of Dota?
I mean, it's different type of strategy. Though.
Different
Like, you
type of
can't-
strategy.
It's different. Like I wouldn't necessarily say like Dota is. It's like more technically. I guess it is more technically difficult, but like again, like that's hard to say too. Just
Right.
because in Heroes of the Storm, it's a lot more team based. Like it's a lot
Team-based.
more on collaboration.
Okay.
I'm not saying like Dota doesn't have a lot of collaboration, but it's a lot more on the collaboration. Like in Dota, like
Yeah.
you have carries.
right.
You know, like a single person can turn the game. You can't do that in Heroes. So like
So
it
does
forces
that-
you to work together. Like it's
Yeah.
it's different. The strategy
Right.
is different.
Right.
Like in Heroes of the Storm, a big strategy is soaking the lanes.
Yeah.
Like that concept doesn't exist in
In any other MOBA.
in
essentially.
Dota,
Yeah.
in League.
Okay.
Like you're still sort of soaking XP whenever you're like offlane and all that, sure.
Okay. So are these elements
So, like,
essentially
again, like,
what
I
are
would
making you
say-
think like Heroes is different from
I would
other
say like
MOBAs?
those are mechanics.
Okay.
I would say like soaking XP is a mechanic.
Yeah.
The last hitting for gold is a mechanic.
yeah.
I would
Okay.
say like in Gigantic, like building the beasts on the capture points.
Right.
I would say that's a mechanic.
That's a mechanic.
Like not necessarily
Or
core
concept.
concept. Same
Building
thing-
beasts at all is a mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the entire like premise of that is a new mechanic, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that's boils down back to like MOBA versus neo MOBA.
Yeah. So let's
just
talk about
different-
that. Like,
different
how about we like start like pushing games aside? Like, what I would say would make a traditional MOBA would be games that you're also collecting gold, that you're purchasing items, that there are lanes, creeps. It's like a lot more of a traditional sense. You know, like
Sure.
just more stemming from Dota 1, more
Yeah.
stemming from what was that original one? The Aeon of the Storm, Aeon
For
of Strife or
StarCraft.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That. Like more stemming from that, like in that entire
Sure.
vein of things. And then you have games that are kind of like messing with
The
formula in
yeah.
a way. Like you get heroes,
Derivative.
you get
It's a derivative. Yeah, they're being more innovative too. Yeah.
yeah, you get heroes, you get gigantic, you get I'm trying to think of a few more. I remember writing it in my other fucking Google Doc page.
Wouldn't
which I don't have.
viewpoint be something that also defines the genre, like how you observe your character and how they move around?
Well, that's why I brought up Smite.
I would say no, just because like Smite itself and like Paragon, for example,
Right.
I would say like that's also a traditional MOBA.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would say similar.
It's
Yeah.
just because like the viewpoint.
Because like just right clicking your mouse to move around, and you're primarily just using your mouse for all movement and stuff, and you're just hitting the keyboard for your abilities.
Mhm.
Versus you're using the keyboard for primarily your movement, WASD, and you're like over the shoulder as
Yeah.
opposed to top down, and now your mouse is like moves your entire viewpoint, field of view and stuff.
But would
So
that
it's
be
more-
enough to like shift it? Like I
Because
mean,
it's a
you're
different
still
gameplay style.
Well, I mean,
you're still last hitting. You're still like doing all of these. Okay, I'm gonna call them chores because that's
Yeah.
basically what it is.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
you know, like
errands and chores,
traditional, yeah, like okay. So I feel like traditional MOBAs like are a lot more work-like. Like it's
Grindy.
yeah, are a lot more grindy, and like the newer stuff tend to just like
That's
streamline a whole bunch
fair.
of things.
However, to the question of does a switch in perspective necessarily shift the genre?
I would say no.
But what about just for as an example, a different genre? First person shooter versus cover based shooter. They
Okay.
both essentially do the same thing, but they are considered very distinctly different genres simply due to the change in perspective. But they almost play exactly the
So
same.
what if I say I wouldn't call them different genres? Again, now we're gonna get like very fucking like nitpicky, but like they're
But
subgenres,
that- but
right?
that's
Where
how
it's
it
like
works,
I would
yeah.
say shooter is the main genre.
That's
and
what we
then you
said
get
with
like a
Josh.
whole bunch of
right? His genre is a shooter,
sure.
but we wouldn't necessarily say first person or third person because those are just part of the shooter genre. But that's my question. So then are we distinctly saying that it doesn't matter the shift in perspective, regardless, it doesn't change the genre?
In context of MOBAs, like again, it depends because you know like Gigantic's also a third person game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but just like
Sometimes
everything
first
else,
person as well with the sniper, right?
yeah.
yeah, really.
But like just like how the game is set up though, it's so different from like the traditional
Why I asked
stuff
is
that we.
I'm
see.
thinking like if a person I'm telling them about the game, like let's say someone who's like getting introduced to MOBAs, and I'm gonna tell them like what a MOBA's like, and maybe pitch a few games to them, right? If I pitch something that's so different, like in gameplay style, them just sitting there and right clicking the mouse to move top down view versus them sitting and like hitting WASD and trying to aim, that's like completely different sessions of gameplay. You know what I'm trying to
I
say?
mean,
I
whether
guess,
you're
yeah.
trying to sell the game to someone, then like that's a different conversation, you know?
If I'm trying to define, like, if they're like, well, what's a MOBA? Would I like MOBAs? Do you think I'd like MOBAs? And I was like, yeah, okay, try this one and then try this one.
So
You know?
okay, all right, man. Hey, describe to me what is a MOBA?
Yeah, so basically,
That's fair.
Like
yeah.
I'm a kid. I
Right,
don't know. It's
exactly.
like should I play Dodo?
yeah.
Tell me,
no,
Eric.
no. I jump in like the Kool-Aid man. No, don't play.
Should I play Dodo? That's the
Yeah,
wrong
should I play
question to
Dodo?
ask, man. First, let's ask what's a MOBA. But yeah, so like, I'd have to find out. Would you prefer to be top-down view, right-clicking to move,
Okay,
or
no,
would
no,
you
no, no.
prefer WSD action? You know?
Define me. What is a MOBA? Like how would you describe someone a MOBA?
I would say MOBA stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena.
Yes.
The way I see it is I'd pitch games to them. I'd say, hey, do you know about these games? Because they define the genre really, really well. And if they don't know any of those games, I'd be stumped. I'd say, okay, what can I
That's
tell this
very fair.
person?
Just go play Dota.
Just
You'll be
try
fine.
this game. Yeah, I would
Dude,
say try these games, and you'd get a sense of what MOBA is
It's
like.
hard to define it, dude. Yeah, but like let's say you really tried, and like even like that that distinction between one type of shift in perspective versus another, like just on that, I would say like, all right. So you asked me, what do you think I would like MOBAs? I would say something along the lines of, well, let me ask you, do you like more of an RTS style game or do you like more of an
Yeah.
RPG style action game?
Yeah.
I would ask this question.
Yeah.
Depending on their answer, if they said, well, I like Age of Empires, I like StarCraft and stuff like that,
Dota.
I would say you
Heroes
would really
of
like
New
Dota,
Earth.
Heroes
Yeah.
of New Earth,
The
League of Legends and
traditional
stuff like that.
MOBAs. Yeah.
If you don't, and you like the more action RPG, you love Dark Souls, you love things
Smite,
like that, give a
Gigantic.
look at Smite, give a look at Gigantic,
Yep.
give a look at even Paragon.
Yeah.
Give those games a look, right?
I agree with that, man.
But it's more so like it's funny, man. How do you define it other than pointing to the examples of it? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Let me say what I would say.
Yeah,
so like
please,
if
of
someone
course.
comes up to me and
Wait,
is
wait.
like,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, You think I should play Dotas? What do you think are Dotas, dog?
I mean,
What are Dotas? I mean,
it depends. Like in a hypothetical situation, if I like the person, I would say no, don't play Dota.
No, I'm like
No,
your
but-
worst enemy.
But
Then play a lot of Dota.
no, let's say like someone comes up to me and asks like, "What is a MOBA?"
yeah.
I would say it's a team game that you're trying to defend something that the enemy's trying to destroy, and you're
Okay.
trying to destroy something that the
That
enemy's
they're
trying to defend.
Okay.
And you have to choose between a whole bunch of different characters, and you have to complement each other, your team,
Combos, wombos.
and you have to also keep in mind about the characters that they're choosing because
Mhm.
they might counter you.
Mm.
And I would say like that's it. That's where I would stop, because I feel like that describes the core of what a MOBA is.
So
It's
you
team-based, team-based with strategy in mind. On,
I
like,
agree
just
with
how
that.
you build your team.
I like
feel
that.
like that's the essence.
So
of
you
it.
are saying, without a doubt, then you are going with the angle of the destruction and defense.
I think
Because
so, man.
if
I
you
really do
didn't-
think so.
Because if you didn't, let's just say you said everything you just said and did not say that, but you said something about like opposite objectives and stuff like that, I would say, oh, then would I like Overwatch or would I like Team Fortress? So you are saying without a doubt, then the destruction and defense aspect of it is core to MOBA.
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm sold. I mean, that's
Yeah.
true. I like that definition. If that's what
I
you're
would
going
say
with,
so.
I can't really imagine a game that doesn't
Because
do
like yeah,
that.
like think about it. Like, can you guys find a MOBA that doesn't
Mm.
necessarily fit in that?
Battle right, but we're not calling it a MOBA essentially now because
Yeah.
of that, right? But in my mind, I think of battle right. Isn't it that prime definition of multiplayer online battle arena?
It is the prime. I mean,
The wording is fucking.
so it's
so-
Players Unknown's Battlegrounds. You know, like
yeah,
But then
minus,
so-
but
so,
minus
or
those.
like so much of other things.
But there's something that battle right carries that battlegrounds doesn't.
you get yourself
Your
stronger.
skills, your abilities, yeah, you progress. So it carries a little more of those elements in the list.
But like so, you don't have in Battle Right again. Like it goes against my core definition that you're not necessarily destroying or defending something. Like it's a lot more focused on killing the enemy team.
Yeah,
Like, it's a
destroying the
lot
enemy
more-
team.
It's a lot more of a deathmatch thing.
What
And
if
I
it-
wouldn't call a deathmatch a MOBA.
Okay, what
I
if
feel like
it's
that goes
a-
against.
What if it's a resource battle? What if you have a certain amount of resource, and every time you respawn, you expend it? So the enemy team is trying to kill you enough times, so your resources
So
completely
let me
expended and
think.
depleted.
There's the mode in Smite that works like that,
Okay,
right?
Sure.
And would you call that
that's what
like
I'm asking.
part of the MOBA? I would say no, man. Like I would like it's like
Overthrow.
Overthrow. Thank you. Yeah, it's like Overthrow. Like yeah, it stems from a MOBA, but is
Okay.
that a MOBA? Like League of Legends has a Dominion mode, which is like basically it's like Overthrow, but you have like 3 towers.
I
and
think
shit.
kind of what we're getting at here is while we've come to define what these games involve to a pretty certain degree, we're actually like in a fork in the road is MOBA even a good term?
Oh no, definitely is not.
It's not.
I
I
don't
think it's a
think so.
fucking
and,
trash
and,
term.
and I
Yeah,
think we
I
should
agree with that.
I think we should abstract away from like the words multiplayer online battle arena. They were good for part of the discussion, but now that we have a stricter definition,
Yeah.
who cares if it's called MOBA or
There you
Dota
go.
like or
Okay.
whatever, dude.
There you go, man. That's the thing I have a problem with because when you spell it out, when you say online battle arena, games come to my mind that then we would not define as a MOBA with the way we listed it out. You know, so it's the term itself. If
It's
you
a
tell
problematic term. for sure.
exactly when someone who doesn't
which is
know,
across all game genres.
Yeah.
Dude. They're all so farcical.
yeah, especially someone who doesn't know what MOBA stands for or what MOBA is, but they like games and like I said, they ask you like, should I try these games out in this genre? You can't go and tell them, hey, this is what it stands for, and then try these games because it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Yeah.
No, I
it's
agree.
weird.
I don't think that like I just don't think they should be called MOBAs at all. It's just misnomer.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's
But,
kind of
like-
like the Dota situation where it was Defense of the Ancients, but they don't call it that at all anymore. In fact, that's not even what it stands for anymore. It's simply Dota 2. So now I just think it's MOBAs. There's no multiplayer online battle arena.
Sure.
There's no nothing, right?
Yeah.
You can't really say
It
that
just
anymore.
loses the acronym. It's just a MOBA.
It's just
it
a
doesn't
MOBA.
necessarily stand for
That's
something.
you may as well call it a like that. That's like what the genre is, you know? Like
Sure.
it doesn't matter. No, but it doesn't matter anymore.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying, and I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page there across the board.
Yeah.
Triple threat.
I triple threat, easy. This is the triple threat podcast. But like for sure, I agree with that definition. If you were to sell me on a MOBA, and use that definition, I would probably get a rather good sense of it. I think with the destruction, with the everything, with the team base, with the composition,
Yeah.
everything you
And
said.
I think it just
seems-
gives you like a very good idea about like what to expect in the game.
yeah,
You know,
especially the
and
cast
like,
of characters and the
totally.
progression. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, of course, like, you start describing the particular game a little bit more. You start describing the mechanics. Like, oh, yeah, you're last hitting for gold. You can deny fucking creeps, so your enemies don't get enough XP.
Or
so on
Heroes
and
of the
so
Storm,
forth.
you don't. And then you're saying this, your
Exactly.
team levels together.
But
and
you have
get
to
this,
soak
and
the
you soak the
lanes.
lane.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the flourishes.
Exactly.
But then the core is, I guess, what you ended up saying, dude. You seem to give this a lot of thought.
I have given this a lot of
Yeah,
thought. Yeah.
No, it worked
Yeah.
out, man. No.
Because, like,
Not
it's...
bad.
But in, like,
Any
movies
movies,
and books and
course.
whatever.
Because it's categorization,
Yeah.
right? Even when you're categorizing people, essentially you can put people in genres. But there's such a huge diversity and
Assholes,
variety.
good guys, this, that.
Whatever, right?
Sure.
White people, or this, that. You could get racist with that too.
Sure.
You can
So,
really
like,
categorize everything.
Yeah, you get, so that's the same concept, right? It's like there's too much overlap. There's too much gray area. Some people
like,
fall all over
Again,
the
like
place.
with the overlap, like I think I told you guys earlier, but like whenever genres start to overlap, that's when you start seeing innovation. That's when
yeah.
like the cool stuff
Yeah.
happen. When you get games like Gigantic,
Gigantic,
that, or like Heroes. Let's go back a little bit, but like
Sure.
Heroes. Like, do you remember when Heroes first came out? Like how fucking
Lanes, what do you what does that mean?
Yeah.
Soak? I don't know what that means.
And I mean, even not just to Blizzard's horn, but even Overwatch is a fusion
Totally.
of different
Yeah.
genres, and that comes into play a lot. And that is still very
Yeah.
successful. So I mean, it's going along rather well. And I feel like more and more you're going to see these amalgamations and crosses of different genres. And it feels like the less or the more something is its own genre, like the more something is just Diablo, just an ARPG, it's going to suffer a little bit in the terms of what the market wants, the demand, the supply, everything.
Yeah.
It's going to suffer a bit. That's why everyone's really going crazy. Just as a funny example, everyone's really going crazy over the Mario Rabbids thing.
Yeah.
It's Mario, the same Mario you love, and with the characters, everything fun, blah blah blah. But with the XCOM gameplay,
It's
how
bizarre.
it's bizarre.
Yeah, very bizarre.
But everyone's really randomly hyped for it because it's that fusion. It may succeed, it may not.
Ash,
Something new.
you want to just
Woo.
welcome back, boys.
Always
Very
feel
welcome.
welcomed here.
Oh man,
As should all
that's
our
nice.
viewers and listeners. Yeah.
Video games. dude.
yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking a lot about genre, about MOBA for the most part, but this half we're just going to open it up a tiny bit and just talk about genres in general.
Saying about how genre for MOBA is like problematic, like that term is problematic. I feel just in general, genre as a concept, at least in video games, is part, I guess, as a whole thing. Like, it's hard to categorize, man. You were saying, like, when you try to categorize humans in any which way, there's so much diversity in the human population
and overlap,
that is difficult to say, all right, we're going to put this person in this category, this person in this
It's
category.
hard.
It's almost the same with the things that humans create.
Yeah,
And
because
so-
they always share things from
Of
this other
course.
thing, then a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now it's become innovative. Now it's like
Yeah.
a whole new genre, but it still has parts of this genre, parts of that genre, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do?
It's kind of like what you were saying. I mean, like there's shooter, but then you can call them subgenres of
Absolutely.
first person, cover based, third person. You call them objective based. You call them this, that, like whatever you want to say. It's fucking complicated
Yeah.
as fuck. One of the genres I find the most complicated, honestly, is a roguelike. Because I don't know how that term originated personally, nor do I really know the constituent parts of it other than randomly generated, really unforgiving bullshit game. But bullshit in like a positive way, if that makes sense. Like Binding of Isaac is like sometimes bullshit, but it's fucking cool, you know? So what do you,
So
what
like
do you
maybe
do?
roguelike, it stems from the game Rogue, which was basically what pioneered the entire genre. It was the first game of that type. And if you guys have seen any pictures and stuff of it, it's an ASCII game. It's a very old game, like
Sure.
80s or something. And it's basically top down. You're controlling one dude in a randomly generated dungeon. It's turn based, and you're basically like collecting loot. You're collecting loot. You're making yourself stronger, and then when you die, you start from scratch.
Sounds like a MOBA. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude,
Okay, I mean, we will get to that. We will get to that. But like, I feel like that
Damn, dude.
roguelikes play a very big role in what make a MOBA a MOBA. I feel like there is a lot of overlap, but we'll get there. Let's
Okay.
talk about roguelikes
All
right
right, fair enough. I'll remember that.
now. But yeah, so like that's basically where the term roguelike comes from, because it is a game that's like Rogue.
So,
so yeah.
damn, man.
I was gonna say, like, if we're gonna have a genre that's saying, oh, this genre is like that game. Look at that game. This is what the genre's like, right?
Totally.
It's the roguelike.
And like now we have Souls-like.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like Dark
Yeah.
Souls has pioneered its own genre. Like it's taking a lot of influence from
This is
from
fucking nasty.
roguelikes. Like there's a lot of roguelike elements in Dark Souls. That's
There
a
is.
big part of it. Like
More
when you die,
so-
you lose your shit.
More so in Bloodborne,
Yeah.
actually, because
Sure.
Bloodborne has randomized chalice dungeons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, to me, it makes a lot more sense to name genres like that, where it's like elements of this game are what pervade this
I agree,
kind of
dude,
genre, you know?
So, like,
honestly.
Going back a tiny bit for how we were talking about MOBAs and like how there's like we have like traditional MOBAs and neo MOBAs that we
Yeah.
called it.
Yeah.
So there are like roguelikes, and then there's a whole bunch of what people are calling rogue-lites.
Yeah. Roguelite
So it's
spelled
like-
L-I-T.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen
Yeah.
that
So
around,
like the
actually.
whole point of that, it's like it's taking concepts, like core concepts of what make a roguelike,
Yeah.
but like it's also streamlining a whole bunch of stuff
Uh-huh.
and changing the formula enough
Okay.
that like warrants its own different type of genre.
Sure. Okay.
So like a roguelite would be something like Binding of Isaac.
I see.
It would be something like
Really?
because so like
I didn't
again
know
like
that,
what I
man.
say, what I think defines what a roguelike is turn based. It needs to be turn based.
Hmm.
What other games besides Rogue? Because you know more roguelikes better than me,
Yeah.
right? So what other games
For the
besides
most part-
Rogue are turn-based?
Okay, so turn based games are a little boring.
Yeah, they
Okay,
are.
so like they don't really make too much of those anymore. And the last one that I played was actually in a humble bundle.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up.
Runestone Keeper, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
what it was called.
That's exactly
What
what
the
I was
hell is
thinking right
that,
now,
dude?
bringing it
It's
up.
like it's basically a
What
it's
the
a-
hell is that?
It's a roguelite, but it's turn-based.
Yeah, it's a turn-based
Okay.
dungeon crawler that you're basically like you have a board that's like all covered in fog, and then you click different places on it, and it opens up the fog. And sometimes there's traps and bad guys and stuff that happen there.
But each click is a
And
turn.
Each click is a turn.
And
Okay.
you'll only have a certain amount essentially until you wear out your resources, which is like your HP and stuff. Like
Yeah.
stuff
Like
like
I would say that is heavily a roguelike. And then there are there's that other one. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's a it got pretty popular. It was a first person game.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It
Legend of
was turn-ba-
Grimrock.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
exactly that. Like that's a roguelike.
I've never played it. That's a roguelike?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
It's
because it
turn-based.
is turn-based. You're right. I've never played it, but I've
Yeah.
seen like clips, movies,
Interesting.
and
And
stuff
so like
that,
right
yeah.
now, like
I
all
heard
of
it's
these,
very good.
So like
Yeah.
again, like the terms tend to get a little muddied just because like they don't really necessarily make too many of the turn-based roguelikes anymore. So like
right.
Binding of Isaac, people are just calling it roguelike. You know, like
Yeah.
was a
FTL.
FTL.
They
FTL is a roguelike.
FTL's a
Heavily a
roguelike, but
roguelike.
it's so different than Binding.
Is it
So
turn-based?
different. It's not turn.
No,
Well,
no, it's a rogue-like because it's straight up turn-based.
no, it's not.
FTL's not turn-based.
It's not turn-based.
FTL, I've actually
That's
never
not-
played it.
Okay, so
I would have sworn it is. It's not.
so on
I
the
watched
surface,
my head play. It doesn't look like it was turn-based.
Oh, you haven't played it, Arik?
I've never played FTL.
Oh, bro, you love FTL.
I watched
bro.
my head play on his computer, man. It just didn't tickle my pickle. Really.
You
It's just
truly
like,
love
whatever.
it on one of those days that you have a lot of water and you're just chilling and you're just enjoying yourself and you could play it and it's very
see.
fun.
Yeah.
You just want to be hydrated.
Yeah, of
But
course.
otherwise, dude, in general, that game looks on the surface as though it's turn-based because you're going from sector to sector, you're
Totally.
doing things. But once the quote-unquote combat starts, it's very real time. Your ship starts to go on fire. You have to
You have to be
micro your
fast.
guys. Yeah, you have to be very
micro and stuff.
fast.
Okay.
Things like that. There's recharge time on your lasers as they shoot, whatever.
Interesting. So it's a roguelite.
Dude,
in
I
that
don't know.
sense.
But like
See, I don't
it's
know.
different. Like
It's
All
so
right.
different than Binding. It's so different, but it is genuine.
like what would you call is the core not mechanics, the core concepts of what make
I'll
a
tell you-
roguelike a roguelike.
I'll tell you what I think. Might not be correct, but I'll tell you
Go
what
for
I
it,
think,
yeah.
how I look at it. It's randomized.
Yes.
It's very difficult, typically. That's how I look at roguelikes, is that it's always very
The
difficult.
challenge level, it keeps increasing. The
The
farther
challenge
you
level, well, not necessarily, because maybe you just get really strong like in Binding and it doesn't really increase exponentially. It just kind of like, you know,
Okay.
you get really fucking
Sure.
OP, right? You don't know.
Right,
It's
you could
random
do
in that
that,
sense.
yeah.
So it's randomized. It's very difficult, just in general as a genre. I think
Mm-hmm.
roguelikes are difficult, and I think on top of that, you're progressing. Again, you're leveling up either your character skills, you're leveling up items, you're finding items, whatever. There's loot involved. Those are kind of like the key characteristics. I don't have a list, but those are the
I
things
would
that.
say
I'm
thinking of.
just adding on to that.
Oh, bosses maybe.
Sure, maybe, but like not really.
Okay.
I would say like a core component is that you lose your shit when you die.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's another one. Yeah, you.
That's
it's,
that's like a
it's-
really big thing. Like
big
it's
time.
you start from scratch.
Those see some roguelikes for roguelites, whatever.
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells. is fucking weird, dude.
No, because like that's another component of a roguelike. That
It's rough.
It's very important. No. I feel like that's a
yes,
core.
yes. Yeah, you're right.
That's
You're
a
right,
core-
and you're right.
No, that's a core concept. That like
Yeah.
you lose all your shit, but there is progression.
But
So,
not
like,
always.
I would say almost definitely always that there
Really?
is definitely something that carries over.
Binding has
Like,
progression.
Binding of
I think
Isaac- Binding
FTL
of
has
Isaac-
some.
FTL does. Yeah.
FTL does.
Yep.
Binding of Isaac, like you unlock more shit that you find.
Did
in the world.
Rogue?
Rogue. I've never played Rogue,
Okay.
but I want to say yeah.
Okay.
Something had to carry over, you mean? Like anything. It could be something even minuscule, but you're saying something carries over.
Things need to carry over to make your subsequent runs easier.
Or just more dynamic. I guess.
Unlockables. Unlocking new characters, unlocking new items to be found in the randomization.
For instance, I could tell you
have
FTL
Dead Cells.
ships.
Yeah, like Dead Cell, you get like FTL ships. You get
Yeah.
Binding
Yep.
of Isaac. You just unlock new stuff that you
A
see.
variety.
In Binding of Isaac, actually, it's pretty fun because so it's very different. In FTL, you find ships. So the ships in FTL, you can actually start from the beginning of the game with different ships if you find them in your run-throughs. Binding of Isaac, as far as I know, although you do get the characters that you can start with as you unlock, you also get the ability to find items.
Yeah.
So it's not just you get something you carry over, you get the ability potential
find something.
to find
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's like half a carryover.
It's pretty cool.
It's very cool. Yeah, it's very elegant. Yeah.
So I have a question. Like, let's say you said Rogue was the first game, and then games preceding that one that carried similar elements were called rogue-likes,
Yeah.
and then evolved to rogue-lite. So I'm thinking I like this term. I like the way that genre progressed in such a
Totally.
manner. It makes a lot more sense to me. What would we say is the first game of MOBA? What originated the MOBA genre?
It would be
Aeons of Strife?
Aeons of Strife, which was the MOBA that like StarCraft.
So
that
then
comes from StarCraft.
I'd say I want to call it Aeon likes. Aeon likes and then Aeon lights. So gigantic and stuff like that is like Aeon lights, right? And then Dota and the traditional MOBAs are Aeon likes.
I
But,
honestly
then
would
again-
agree in a way.
Then again, man, like that's difficult to do. Like it makes sense in the sense of roguelikes,
Mm-hmm.
just because like it just fits that very nicely. But then again, like taking Aeon and
Yeah.
then comparing it to gigantic, like how vastly different are those two things?
I would
Is
say
the difference
Dota
not
like
similar? Is this difference not similar to like how Rogue is different from FTL or how Rogue is different from Binding of Isaac? Is it not almost sort of the same kind of bridge that they're trying to make?
I totally see what you're saying.
maybe
yeah.
it's just because rogue is a one-syllable word.
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
No, I know.
Maybe because rogue is a
Easier
one-syllable
to
word.
say.
It's
It
very
sounds a
easy,
lot better, yeah.
You can't say Aeon-like or Dota-like or whatever because that's kind of a
Feels like
fucking
work.
annoying. Yeah, it feels like work to say, and
True.
no one who games wants to do work. Right?
But just on a technical level, I feel like it makes a lot more sense to
I
my
agree.
brain
Yeah.
when I'm thinking of the genres, you know? So I don't know. I think games defining the genre, because games are what make the genre happen, right? When you don't have the game that makes the genre that doesn't exist yet, the genre doesn't exist. It's not like the genre
Absolutely.
comes first, right? The games
Absolutely.
come first.
You're right.
Yeah. So I feel like basing it on the game is totally reasonable.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But like I
There
feel like
we
we
are,
are
dude.
way. I feel like we are way too down the MOBA hole
We are.
to rename to Aeon like.
Yeah, we
yeah,
can't
no.
go back like that.
There's
But
no way.
Moving forward from now
Yeah.
on, you know, like
Again,
if
like Souls like.
yeah,
That's a new term.
fantastic.
That's a relatively new term.
I like it.
yeah, and you know, some people even say I've heard like Soulsborne games.
Sure.
Like
Soulsborne
that.
game.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
It's very odd because I used to just hear ARPGs, but then that's Diablo style games. Though, but at the same time, that's what Dark Souls is. It's an action RPG. You know, like that's
But
fucking
not
weird.
quite.
But not quite. The
Right?
same way Diablo isn't quite that exactly.
So then
But-
you take the differences, and those differences are what created this new genre. So then those are the core aspects of the new genre, are the differences that this game has
Yeah.
versus what the other games were, right?
Yeah,
You know, so what
it's just
you know,
kind
that's
of
pretty fun stuff.
interesting. Yeah, no, it is very fun. And like I remember when we would talk about Dark Souls back in the day, sometimes we would compare it to Zelda. It's very similar to
Yeah.
how Zelda would work. It also is very similar to how Diablo works too. And so there is a bit of that going on just in general
Yeah.
with these genres, how they
God of War.
overlap. God of War God of
Yeah.
War is considered an action RPG sometimes,
Yeah.
or it's considered just an action platformer. What you know,
Again,
like
but then again,
Yeah.
like games aren't necessarily stuck to any particular genre. You know, like every game is unique. Every game is different, and they take ideas from a whole bunch of like so many different. They get influenced by like so many different things.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just hard to just bundle it and say it's like, oh, Dark Souls is only an RPG.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
You have to be more
Like-
descriptive.
Yeah.
actually, funnily enough, who's really innovating in the genre department, just kind of silly in a way, but still it works, is Steam. Because now they let you put tags on games. I don't know if you guys have seen this or ever used it. They let you put tags on games, sometimes up to like I want to say 7 at a time,
Yeah.
where different tags of what the game represents. Some of them are funny, like some say like memes, anime, things like that, like funny shit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it says like some pretty legit stuff, like role playing, platformer, RP or whatever, like action, this that, and you actually get a good sense of things when it's kind of like this. What would you call it? Like a blurb based kind of categorization, as opposed to strict genre definitions.
Sure.
Because it's using stuff you already know and you're familiar with, but then it's
Vaguely, at
bundling
least,
it together, and you're kind of like trying to figure out, well, how does this game work, right? And then it's like, okay, that's where the innovation happens, by combining the elements of all these various genres into this one new game, right?
Yeah.
All of it together can come and form maybe one new genre, and instead of saying, hey, it's this combined, you say, this is what we're calling it now. This is like a whole new genre. But
I
you
would
have
like
to
that,
be
yeah.
innovative enough. You have to make enough difference for it to span out into its own genre or subgenre.
So let me ask you, Arik, how would you feel about somebody saying that Neo and Dark Souls are the same?
Dark Souls and Neo.
Dark Souls 3,
oh,
let's
okay,
say,
okay.
versus Neo.
What do you mean they're the same? Like
Same
Same
genre?
genre,
Same
same
genre?
game, same, like not same game, but like same. You know
Same
what I
genre,
mean when
yeah.
someone says they're the same, bro?
Okay.
They're just the same. Like
Sure,
they're being facetious.
sure.
What would you say
I
to
would
that
say
comparison?
the number one thing that comes to my mind is I'd say Neo carries a lot more RPG elements. Whereas
Meaning
Dark
what? Like
Souls
the items,
simply
loot,
doesn't.
and stuff,
yeah,
like
it's a
stats.
lot more loot based, equipment based than Dark Souls is. And I mean, I can't really speak of it in genre
Dark Souls
terms.
isn't? Dark Souls
Not
like a big
as
part.
not as loot based. No, you could. It doesn't really matter
Neo's
what
like more
armor you're wearing in Dark
Diablo
Souls.
style loot
I
base,
mean,
like
In Dark,
The weapon that you have changes the game entirely, changes how you play the
Yes.
game. I would say
only the weapon in Dark Souls and Neo too. But I'm saying Neo, what you're wearing, your actual equipment outside of the weapon, it's everything. You can't just go run naked into anything, and you're gonna
Gotcha.
insta die.
Okay.
So you level, you have big talent trees that you're putting, so it carries a lot more RPG roleplay elements into the Souls-like genre. So it's combining things. Neo is being more innovative, I feel, because Neo is taking Souls-like elements. It still looks like a Souls game, but then it's also taking a lot of roleplay elements, and it's just creating a good balance between the two. I think it's a little too much on the roleplay elements. I think the loot-based stuff is a little too heavy, and the leveling
creates
up
a
is
bit of a grind. It feels
yeah,
like,
it turns it to a little grindy. Dark Souls doesn't feel as grindy. You really always just have the option of, if you want to grind Souls, you can. You don't have to. You never feel obligated to, I have to grind Souls. Never in Dark Souls you ever feel obligated to grind.
I
really.
don't,
You could just
yeah.
progress through the game.
I'm sure someone might, but I don't.
Yeah. So, it's like there's definitely some stark differences between the two.
Yeah.
Like-
All right, fair enough.
So let's talk a little bit about like how you're saying like Dark Souls. It's like I see Dark Souls as kind of like the granddaddy of that. It's like how we're saying like traditional MOBA and like Neo
Well,
MOBA. It's
Demon
like, it's
Souls,
sort of,
I guess technically, but yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you mean.
You know what
I
I
know
mean.
what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
it sort of kind of feels like that. No.
I mean, Neo probably took cues from Dark Souls.
Oh,
Absolutely,
probably
yeah.
it did.
Yeah.
It had
Yeah,
to have.
yeah.
It wouldn't have
I would
existed
say,
without.
right.
Yeah, I would say that is totally like a, let's call them Soulsborne, I guess, like you were saying.
Souls-like, Soulsborne, whatever.
Sure,
yeah.
totally.
Like that's a Soulsborne game.
Yeah.
Surge is a Soulsborne
Okay.
game.
Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the
yeah.
Fallen, yeah.
Right.
Even, you know what's interesting though? I would say Dark Souls, so I don't know actually the chronology and like the
Bloodborne.
actual thing. Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all these games, I feel like they were inspired in a way by Ninja Gaiden.
Oh,
Sure.
absolutely.
I feel
Of
like
course.
they definitely have roots there.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to be really fucking semantic about it, technical about it, would we say that? I don't know
Yeah, dude.
though.
I mean,
dude, who
honestly,
knows?
if
I
you're
mean, they're
talking
also
about-
very similar to Zelda too.
yeah. So who
You know,
the
like,
fuck?
if you're
you
talking
know?
about
like
genre,
influence comes
yeah.
from so like from all over.
with
Right,
gaming
you know, it's-
especially.
yeah.
You'd want to trace it back to the source, like we said with roguelike. That makes a lot of sense to me when you said Rogue was the first game. That's where the term originated from. And games following that have something to do with this game. They're kind of connected to it. And we never forget the origin.
Yeah.
But when we've forgotten the origin of a genre, now it's becoming a lot harder to define that genre. Once
Yeah.
you don't remember where it originated, how
So
it
maybe we go
originated.
with the most popularized. So a lot of people don't know Aeons of the Strife, honestly. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't even fucking remember that. But everybody and their mom seems to know Dota.
Sure.
So
it-
we could
but
call
what
them
I'm saying
Dota
is-
likes.
but
We
what
could
I'm
call them
saying
Dark
is
Souls likes.
If you think about Aeon and you think about what mechanics that game had, what's different now in today's MOBAs, I'd say those differences are probably what make or break the genre.
Sure.
So I don't remember Aeon personally myself completely, but if
I
I
don't
went
either,
back and I
yeah.
analyzed the game, I played through it, and I played like one of the modern MOBAs, I'm sure we'd start spotting things like, oh, okay, they're doing this different now, they're doing this different. Okay, I could see what MOBA was like when it originated and what it's evolving into now. And then you can now start taking the flourishes out and it becomes a lot more core. So I think going to the source, tracing it back to where did this term originate? How did this genre form? How did it come to be? Through which products, through which games, through which movies, whatever it's relevant to, right?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah, I agree with that. And, there's actually the opposite problem that exists as well, I feel like, in genreification, what do you want to call it, categorization, where sometimes things, instead of getting more specific, the broadness actually is a bit something in contention. For instance, Neverwinter Nights and then Dragon Age Origins, made by the same company, but huge gap in between the two of them. And I remember when I first played Dragon Age Origins on PC, they have the tactical mode, which is exactly Neverwinter Nights. Almost exactly a modern day Neverwinter Nights.
Yep.
But that RPG, they're both called RPGs because that's what they are, but they're so different from one another. So absolutely different from one another, in my opinion, even despite the fact that you can just put like screenshots together and they look exactly the same. Yeah, almost the same. It just feels like the RPG is kind of failing as a categorization, that there needs to be these subgenres. There needs to be this kind of like, I don't know, different categorizations
evolution
within
of
them,
the
an
genre.
evolution.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even call Dragon Age Origins an innovation in any way, but it's just so different. I don't know, man. It's kind of a rough ticket.
It just
here.
feels different playing it. It's
Feels
kind of
different,
like when I was saying using like the mouse to right click and move versus using the keyboard to WSD move.
Yeah.
You could say both games are from the same genre, but because it feels so different playing them, I feel like that also plays a part in defining the genre.
Sure.
It's like the feel you get from how the gameplay goes.
It's like, I think how I think of it is, so you're saying, like, going back to what you were saying, it's like, oh, well, we should take like the original, like
source,
the source, and kind of call them like whatever, like roguelikes or this,
or
like,
at least that will help us understand how it originated.
I feel like that's problematic.
Okay.
Because it's just natural evolution of things. Like genres evolve.
Yeah.
Genres change.
Yeah.
You know, like the entire society, like how people consume games change. So like being completely stuck to what the original was is just limiting.
So I'm not saying stuck, but working off of. So evolving the genre, but knowing where it's going and how it's changing, as opposed to when it arrives here and MOBA is now this. It's like now we try to define MOBA, it's very difficult because we didn't trace the path that it took. We didn't see the journey. We're not thinking about the source.
So are you saying like when we were talking about roguelikes, there's roguelikes and roguelites?
Yeah.
So they're
let it
different,
evolve.
but we still know that the rogue is still like a prefix.
Understanding the source and roguelike helps us understand roguelite and how it came to be this.
Okay.
Right? Without looking
That's fair.
back at where it started and how it came to be here, it's going to be really hard to just start here and look at how it is now.
And
So-
then like kind of like my, I'm just sort of playing devil's advocate,
Sure.
but why don't we call them Doom likes? Why don't we call them, Quake likes?
Yeah.
Why don't
Likes
we-
is actually a
How
cool
far
name
do you
though.
go?
You know, like,
That's
how
the
far do
question.
you go?
Exactly. How far do you go?
Wait, but I would
That's
actually
it.
like a Quake like.
I would like a Doom like. Doom's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Doom isn't Doom just a Quake like?
What was the original? What is the original first person shooter?
You like it? You like that question, my
Isn't
boy?
Doom, but just quick, like,
Isn't Quake just a Doom like? You know what I'm saying? No, but like that actually brings up the next thing that I wanted to say. Not that we have to move on or anything, but just the next thing, like Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
It's Metroid style games, but also Castlevania style games. And a lot of people take both of these games to be similar in their game style. I don't know what came first or what, like origin-wise, but the genre is legitimately called Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight, I'm sure you guys have heard of that. I'm sure you guys have even seen clips,
Yeah.
if not played it yourselves.
Yeah.
Fucking straight up, it's a Metroidvania. That's what
Interesting.
everybody says. The Metroidvania being, how would you define that, dude?
I would say probably the one thing that sets that aside is backtracking. It's that you face certain obstacles that you can't pass until you have the upgrade to pass it.
That's
So
pretty
you
cool.
have to go like further down a road, and then you get the ability to break the certain type of wall. So then you can go all the way back to the first level, break that wall, and then you enter a new area.
Dead Cells has
That's
that.
why Dead Cells, it's a very
Dead Cells, I was
smart
gonna
mix. It's a
say.
very cool mix between a roguelike and a Metroidvania.
Metroidvania.
Because like your progression, like how we were talking about in roguelikes, like stuff carry over, like you progress
Yeah.
between your runs. You progress like that. You have the ability to go to places that you weren't able to go before.
That's fun.
That's why, like,
dude.
I feel like Dead Cells is a very big innovator.
That's
I think
interesting.
Dead Cells
because
is a
it's
fucking fantastic
taking
game.
because that's like metafusion, dude. That's taking
Totally.
fusion of different fucking genres, absolutely,
Yeah.
and fusing the fusions
Yeah.
already, dude. It's like Dragon Ball Z on crack, like beep. You know,
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? Like, what's going on here, dude? Trunks, Goten, this, that. There's some fun ass shit, dude.
Yeah.
Did that wake you up, dog?
Wow. Wow, dude. When DBZ gets thrown around like that in the air, my ears perk up.
Good, dude. You
Yeah.
get a little tingle in your spine and everything, huh?
Oh, dude.
So talking
Yeah.
about,
We'll get
Wait,
into
wait,
that
hold on.
later, dude.
I'm switching topics. So
Of
if you got to
course.
say something,
No. We'll get
Yeah.
into that later.
like we were talking about DBZ and like Budokai and everything, like fighting games. Fighting games are like a really big thing. And then right now there's a whole bunch of like, I guess let's call them neo fighting games, like stuff like
Arms? Do you
stuff
want to
like
say arms?
Absolutely,
What about Smash?
sure.
Would you?
Yeah.
I would say it's a brawler.
I would say Arms. I would say the Absolver game that's coming out soon. I would say.
I think I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah. What's the other one that's on the tip of my tongue? The one that you have on PS4, Areg. The medieval
For
one.
Honor.
For Honor.
Yeah.
Like a whole bunch of those that it's just it takes the idea and the skill necessary for you to
Damn,
be.
is For Honor a MOBA? No, I'm just
No,
kidding,
no,
dude.
no,
I'm
no.
just kidding, boys. No worries.
I'll say that's a fighting game. That's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
subgenre of fighting game. It's
it can be, yeah.
but like then again, like what would
It's
you
a
categorize
team-based,
those
though.
as? Like, would you call like a Pokken or Arms fighting games?
Street
Pokken, I would
Street
say it's a
Fighter
fighting
like.
game because
Yeah, Street Fighter
Well,
likes.
Fighter like.
Yeah.
fighter like, yeah.
And Fighter lights.
Yeah.
Fighter likes and fighter lights. But
And
Pokken,
Fighter excels.
yeah, dude.
Sorry.
Fighter. Pokken is actually Tekken. I mean, it's just with,
No. It is not Tekken at all.
well, I mean, it's based around Tekken and how
Tekken-
Tekken works and stuff like that.
Tekken is like a straight up just like
Sides-
classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, you have the ability to like sidestep and stuff, but like it's still like it's side by side.
Yeah.
It's like a horizontal play.
But I
field.
mean, a lot of Pokken is like that, and then
Yeah, but
they
a lot of
switch
it
it to
isn't.
and thing. Yeah, no. But that's what I'm saying. It's a fusion of something, right?
oh sure,
Yeah. So it has the Tekken root.
So
well, I
it's
mean,
like-
it's the same company as
Would
Tekken. So.
would Brawler be a like correct category?
I think that's more
to put-
brawl. I think that's Super Smash.
because
It's
like
Brawler.
because like so all right. So how
It's
I see it, like
hard, dude.
fighting games, it's its own separate like big umbrella.
Like shooter games.
Yeah, like shooter.
Yeah. And then a bunch of
Shooters-
subgenres.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would say fighting game is its own.
Yeah.
It's like the big umbrella, and then you have a whole bunch of different subgenres.
Sure.
And like brawler would be, I guess.
Okay, so let's establish
Smash?
within fighter what it is that's like quote unquote originales. Like we got
Like the essence of a fighting game.
the essence is Street Fighter. I think. Do you correct me if I'm wrong? You guys might know
Yeah.
more. Is Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat? I think are the
Sure.
two like that. Just they're fighter games.
I
They're
agree.
they're almost exactly the same.
Sure.
Like they're all both of these games. Mortal Kombat has evolved, but they originated in almost exactly the same
Mm-hmm.
style. Okay, mechanics and everything like that. That's just Flourish. Then you get the more derivative versions. You get the Super Smash. You get the For Honor. You get
Arms. Pokken.
Yeah, you get Pokken. So these are derivatives, fusions, and things like that, right? So are we still willing to call them fighters? I don't know if I would want to call Arms a fighter.
Fighter like.
I would call it a fighter like. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a fighter. You know, but then what is that?
It-
Is it arbitrary? Like, am I just coming
No,
up
I
with
would
a
You're
word?
just being
I
more
would say-
descriptive.
I would say it definitely fits within the fighting category.
Yeah. It's within that umbrella
Yeah.
for sure. But I can't. It's not.
just
it's
trying
not
to be
like
more
Pokken.
descriptive.
It's not like Street Fighter. It's not like Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
So what's it like?
It's not like Smash.
What's it like?
Nothing.
But what's it like the most?
Pokken.
You know,
Is
that's what I'm
it?
saying. You know, what
I-
does
I
it
would say
share?
They're different games,
Yeah.
absolutely. But like,
So
just,
is Arms a Pokken like?
no.
No, see that.
Where is the most overlap happening? From like the source games, from the origin games, like Street Fighter,
I don't think
Mortal
so.
Kombat.
I don't think it's even close to the source games anymore.
Then I-
Arms, me personally,
Wait,
just
wait,
having
wait,
played it
wait,
extensively.
You're saying, well, hold on. Say that again. You're saying it's nothing like.
I don't think it's anything like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
I
Arms.
think it shares the same like what the essence of a fighting game.
But what is the essence? Can you
I
define
would say
the
it's
essence for me?
one-on-one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's not a it's like multiplayer. It's like 1 versus 1.
you can
multiplayer
in
game.
Arms, but that's dumb. So we'll just say the
Yeah.
one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one-on-one.
You have a health bar. They have a health bar.
Yeah, and
you're
it's
trying to
equal.
get their health bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're trying to get their health bar to 0. They're
Right.
trying to get your health bar to 0. I would say that's it.
Yeah.
That's kind of well.
There are characters to choose from, but the characters are extremely balanced. Usually they even share
It's,
mechanics across each other.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to say.
What
Like
is hard to say?
you know what? Battle Right is almost like a fighter, like
Sure.
in that sense.
Yeah.
Because the mechanics overlap between the characters.
Wait,
a
but do
lot
they have
to
health
keep it
bars and
balanced.
like do they have things
Yeah,
like that?
you have
that
health
you're-
bars and
Yeah, of course, bro.
yeah.
Well, I don't
So you're just trying to reduce the enemy's health bar before they reduce yours. And a lot of the skills overlap. It's just who can pull it off better. Execution. In fighter likes, it's execution, right? Combo execution.
Yeah, I
Like you
can
can
see
know
that,
a
dude.
combo or you can know like what buttons do what, but how you execute them.
So, but then
Right.
is that the case for
That has-
Overthrow as well?
I'm sorry. Overthrow.
Overthrow, Dota's custom game. Overthrow. Is that the case for Overthrow as well? Health bars, everything. You're trying to get their health bar down. Yeah, there's randomized items in an arena
So-
and stuff, but
I'd say Overthrow is basically like very close to Battle Right, a lot more close to Battle Right than Street Fighter, obviously, or any fighter
well,
game.
without a doubt, yeah.
But still, there is a sense of
I think.
one versus ones happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you do sometimes end up in a situation where it's like almost a fighter, like.
Yeah, but
Well, those are
yeah,
brawling.
but it's
super
different. Like
Yeah.
you're going past the kind of like the essence of it, which I feel
Okay.
like.
Dude, this.
Where
Oh God,
Okay,
we
so
man.
okay, let's go back again.
sure, let's
I'm
go
gonna
back a little
so
bit.
for fighting games,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna write it so I remember. I
Yeah.
think it's like a 1v1 thing.
Okay.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
I feel like health bars is important.
Yeah.
That you're trying to kill the other person. Before they
Rounds?
kill
Hold
you.
on. What about?
I think the combo thing that you said, like there's certain things that characters can do, and like
have to
learning it,
execute them.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it needs to be fast paced. It needs to be.
What about like
it's
Marvel
skill-
versus
it's like
Capcom?
Your, motor control skill based.
Marvel versus Capcom is not 1v1 all the time. It's tag team. In
You,
fact-
you control them both. You control all three. It's
Oh, really?
yeah.
Can you play like 2v2s? Like two people have like a thing, and I don't know.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, I mean, you might.
Maybe there,
yeah.
there might be a mode like that, but
we're just
Marvel
saying-
versus Capcom, like that entire series of fighting games, like you choose 3 characters, you go in, and then you can like click certain buttons and you like swap between them when they come.
Okay.
Like they throw out a punch.
So
and,
you're
like, they
still
do their shit.
controlling one at a time.
Yeah,
Okay, that's it. Yeah.
but like sort of like there's also like helper buttons, so you can click a button and the guy shows up and like shoots.
But
a
that's like
fireball
the
or some
Super
shit.
Smash like trophies. But whatever.
It's almost
I
like an ability.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you're using an
fair
ability.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's
Not
tough.
Not
man.
bad. One-on-one
mean,
health bars.
Health bar 1-on-1.
Rounds. Do we care about rounds? Like, should there be rounds? Could it be just one thing? Like whoever pulls off the first combo wins?
No, rounds
what I
are
mean?
pretty fucking important, my man.
Or is there
In
such
pro
like
play
there's a
or
turn-based sort of element almost?
Because I'm trying to remember. I remember the original Budokai.
Mm.
There were no rounds. There was 1 round, but you had 3 health bars.
Oh, okay. So, but when your first health
Fair.
bar depleted, there was a pause, right?
There was no
Or
pause.
it was continuous?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then like so like if I remember correctly, the more like once you go down, like your health bar goes down 1, then your character gets a bit stronger.
Interesting.
Your character gets a bit stronger when you're at 1 health bar.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of like balances it a
I
tiny
see.
bit as the game
I
continues.
see. Okay.
But
Yeah,
it's
that's
been like it's been like 15 years since I played that game. So
Nobody's done that.
I don't know.
Nobody's done that ever since. That's actually an interesting.
I think most
mechanic.
games, even ARMS has rounds. I
sort-
mean,
I sort of want to say Tekken does something similar. This Tekken 7 does something similar.
like lower health, you
haven't-
get stronger and stuff.
No, I mean like having multiple health bars.
Oh, okay. No, not multiple health bars. Particularly when you lose your first health bar, suddenly you get stronger in order to balance it out.
I'm
That
trying
sounds
to
like an interesting
remember,
mechanic.
I'm trying to remember. There was this one game that it was Street Fighter 4, or yeah, it was Street Fighter 4. No, god damn it. It was something that like the lower health you are, you can click like a whole bunch of the buttons together, and you go into like super mode,
Interesting.
and then you do like a fuckload of damage.
Any
And that
character?
depends any character, but
Any
that
character.
depends like how much health you have. So the less health you have,
the more damage.
the more damage you'll do. I want to say that's Marvel vs. Capcom, the not this newest one that's coming out, but the
Okay.
one on 360.
maybe, dude.
Okay.
ARMS has something similar with only specific characters where if you get them down, it's only 1 health bar, but if you get them down low enough, then all their
Oh, yeah,
attacks are
that's right.
supercharged and powered.
Mm.
Springman and Max Brass, they're just
Yeah.
really fucking powerful.
Again, like all these things that we're saying, like I feel like they're not necessarily core mechanics.
They're
like,
not.
not core concepts. They're
Yeah.
mechanics.
You're right.
yeah, you're
You're
right.
right.
It's what makes the game unique and different.
Yeah, you could always pick those up and throw them into different variety of genres
Yeah.
of games and stuff.
But I would say for the most part, rounds are pretty like standard, man.
Yeah, pretty ubiquitous for sure.
pretty much. If
Round
anything,
1, fight.
Yeah, that.
Round 2.
I mean,
Fight.
that's in real life fighting as well. That's kind of how, like, I mean, professional fighting, not like
True.
on the street, but like
That's
how
actually
it
a funny
goes,
comparison.
Yeah,
Because not all genres have a real life comparison
They
that you
don't.
can make.
yeah.
But whenever you can make a real life comparison with the genre,
Mhm.
maybe you could learn something
Maybe you
from
could
that, right?
exactly, dude. So I mean, fighting. There's wrestling. There's boxing.
There's shooting.
There's MMA. There's jujitsu. There like
I mean, like genre wise too. There's shooting, like real life shooting,
oh, there
like
is
paintballs, airsoft.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you could see like what makes that a core game, right? And then carry that over into video games.
Dude, if I had that's actually an interesting point, dude. Because well, not actually. I mean, yeah, it is an interesting point. Period. If I had to like think about it, like paintballing, laser gun, whatever, or laser gunning, like. I'm very much more in tune with like cover based and things like that. Like, you know, you're taking in geography, you're taking in like distance, things like that. Call of Duty, Battlefield, maybe modern day, but they don't really, or they didn't used to do that. Really, the thing that came about that innovated was the third person cover shooter, like Gears of War, was really closer to paintballing and things like that than Call of Duty ever was.
Interesting,
Yeah. Medal of Honor ever was. Because those games, you just first person, you have the gun,
Yeah.
you're just
Run
running
and
around.
gun.
The only thing that's cover is if you're being slick with the corners, and not even that much. You can't fucking lean really
Right.
like in the older games. You're just kind of like peeking.
Right.
That's not how it fucking works in real life. You don't peek in real life. You actually have some kind of strategy. You have some cover. You peek differently. You don't peek like by strafing.
It's not like you just peek. To the
yeah,
side
yeah,
or-
yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, like one player unknown battlegrounds is almost like a cover-based shooter, essentially, because you never really want to be found outside of cover.
Yep.
Right. So you're always, trying to play behind cover, always being hidden, stealth elements and stuff. Yeah, dude, this is
It's
crazy.
tough,
it's
man.
Crazy, man.
It's tough. I just want, since we're on like fighting games, I just Googled what makes a fighting game. And
You asked Google what makes a fighting game?
yeah,
Nice.
I asked what makes a fighting game. Yeah, a fighting game is a genre of video game in which a gamer battles against another character controlled by another gamer or AI. Fighting games often feature special moves that are triggered through rapid sequences of button presses or associated mouse or joystick movements. So like what you said,
Yeah.
Arik, like that's literally that, and I agree with that.
Awesome.
That it has to do with the combos. That
Yeah.
it has to do with like just being quick
Execution.
and like execution the combos.
So then we would
like
still
that's a
say
big part of
Right.
it.
so we would still say Smash is a fighter game.
It's like
A little
Because it's
less.
still
like,
it
I wouldn't
has
call,
that.
I wouldn't call it like a traditional fighting game,
Yeah.
but it's
Neo
definitely
fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And in real life, if you think when you're fighting, you're just trying to execute a
Yeah.
certain kind of move quicker and better than the other person.
But
you know?
then in
So-
that case, dude, ARMS isn't really a fighting game in that by that strict definition, because you aren't pulling off combos, you aren't doing anything extraordinary or
you are trying to
spectacular.
execute a certain type of
No,
attack.
yeah,
You are, but
there's
it's
like-
not
there's
by a
sense
quick
of-
flurry of moves or like a quick succession of things. You
I would
literally are pressing
disagree.
one at a time, or you're just grabbing. It really isn't too
Execution
much
has a
more
big part
complex.
to do with it. Timing has a lot to do with it, and
Yeah.
you have to be quicker than the other guy.
I think there's a
I
compromise,
think
a balance here,
definitely
yeah.
definitely speed has something to do with that game.
I'm gonna have to think about it.
If you have
I'm gonna
bad
have to think about it,
execution,
yeah.
I mean, like let's say me and you exact same skill, but I'm a tad faster. I'll wreck you every time.
Not necessarily, man, because if I want to do something other than you, if I want to dodge and I'm just slower, but I'm still dodging or blocking and I'm countering you, it doesn't matter that you're faster than me at
No,
all.
I'm saying like two people that have like theoretically same skill.
Yeah.
level, but one is just a tiny bit quicker. He's gonna have the advantage.
he already has a higher skill level because
Yeah.
the speed is what factors into
Yeah.
skill level, right? At that point. So,
Yeah.
I gotta think about it, man.
I mean,
I agree for now, but I gotta think about
the
it.
thing is, in ARMS, both parties are trying to execute an attack.
Yeah.
Whoever has better execution is going to be the victor, essentially. I feel like that is a big part of what makes a fighting game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right about that. I just don't know if timing always, like quickness and timing. Timing is something, but quickness and timing, I don't know if that's.
I would say they sort of
They
go
go
hand
hand in hand. Yeah, I was going to say they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, because whether you're fast or slow, that's what dictates what your timing is going to be like, you know?
All right, so it's
Yeah.
Puyo Puyo. A fighting game?
Okay, let's.
It's a hack and slash.
Yeah, it's a Souls
Where's
like, bro.
Matt, dude?
Yeah.
Where's Matt
Soulsborne.
for this fucking hack and slash combo? God damn.
We're gonna have an
dude.
entire hack and slash podcast with
Yeah, we need to
Mahed.
do this again and decipher hack and slash from
Yeah.
there, dude.
We should come to this topic every now and then, guys. Like
Yeah,
we should come back
absolutely.
to it like every now and then when there's like a good moment to really because
like a next level genre list, like just have a whole bunch of our terms and
Yeah.
it's like motherfucker, it's a fighting like.
It's a
This is
fighter
it.
like,
It's
man.
a fighter like
I like that. I like that.
When they make new games, they're going to innovate genres.
Street Fighter like.
They're going to evolve. Yeah, we'll come back. We'll return to this
Yeah.
topic. We'll be
Cool.
able to say more.
Agreed.
But until then, I say it's called an episode.
Let's do that.
I say so as well.
Mail at thenextlevel.com is our email. So if you guys have any questions, you can send it over and we'll answer it.
Grant it to us.
Hell
Give
yeah.
us your mail.
How about that, boys?
Yeah, let us know what you think of these genres and how you define them.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
All right.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.